A lot of people are planting gardens right now in search of healthy and affordable produce. Well, Eyewitness News has found that growing plants in some parts of central Indiana could expose you and your family to a significant health risk. The Night Beat's Anne-Marie Tiernan has the concern and some practical solutions.
I have all kinds of lettuce, spring greens.
Some of Marnie Plunkett's spring lettuce is already coming up.
My Brussels sprouts.
Her garden, a playground for her son, Ben.
What's the best thing about gardening?
Getting dirt and mulch all over you.
But playing in the dirt, eating food grown in it, can be dangerous if there's lead.
Lead is a health concern, especially for children. We have been fixated on certain sources of these health concerns, like toys from China or paint. In fact, the problem has evolved. It's a little different now. It's lead that's in soils itself.
Lead causes irreversible brain damage, resulting in developmental delays in children. Finding the lead, minimizing the risk, is the goal of Gabe Filippelli and his team at the IU Center for Urban Health.
My sort of call to action to gardeners is to be informed about the levels of heavy metals in your soil. So don't be afraid to find out.
Over the past year, Filippelli's team has combed through 3,000 soil samples from central Indiana yards and gardens. Keep in mind, lead naturally occurs in soil at a concentration of 10 parts per million.
The average amount of lead for all of the samples I have is about 200 parts per million.
The primary sources of the lead are industry. Lead from paint in homes built before the 50s and also runoff from leaded gasoline.
Lead in gasoline was phased out 30 years ago. But what's called legacy lead remains. It's from decades of auto emissions now contaminating the top 5 inches of soil in areas where there is heavy traffic. Filippelli's team put together this map of Indianapolis, revealing pockets where lead concentration in soil spiked to the thousands.
We were right in the center of that, so I kind of sent the alarm bell ringing. And
Lance Ratliff got his garden tested and found the lead levels in the soil tested near his house were an alarmingly high 2,600.
This house was built in 1892. On most of the older houses, you will find some lead-based paint.
Lead levels in his garden, 214.
But for gardeners, I recommend anything above 200 parts per million requires some kind of action to ensure that you're safely gardening.
The solutions for Ratliff and you are simple. First, raise the beds. Add 10 to 12 inches of clean soil and put mulch over the soil beds. That will prevent dust from blowing into your garden.
If I had high lead levels, though, I'd be concerned.
Hayden Buchanan has been working this plot of land for 15 years.
This was hard pan clay. I mean, it was hard to get a pickaxe in this when I started.
When Buchanan learned he could test his soil without charge at Filippelli's lab, he gathered 3 samples from his garden. One about a foot from the foundation of his home, and one out by the busy street. All came back with safe levels.
There's a comfort level just in having it quantified, know where you stand.
And then the carrots are up here.
Marnie has sent in 5 soil samples too, and they're now at the lab being dried, liquefied, and tested.
If lead was in the soil, I would be devastated.
But worse would be the risk to Ben. So when the numbers come in, Marnie will know if it's okay to harvest and eat her crops.
My hope that it comes back great, fine, perfect, healthy soil.
And right now, Marnie is waiting for her lab results. And you can get your soil tested, too, free of charge. You scoop it up and put it in baggies like this and mail it or drop it off at the IUPUI labs. We have the address, phone, and additional information for you at WTHR.com. Look in Hot Topics. And remember, for any test over 200, some intervention is recommended. On the Health Beat, Anne-Marie Tiernan.